Welcome to Eagles and Birdies. We are back with Meet the Designer, and we have, I think it's a Mace or a Mace.
Yeah,
And
amace.
so
Yeah.
a Mace. And so we're gonna to get to know a little bit more about a Mace. So why don't you, Adam, give us what's your name? How'd you come up with a Mace? Is there a story behind it? And we'll get started.
Well, I'm a real creative guy, so my first name's Adam and my last name is Mace. So first initial, last name, about as uh about as simple of an origin story as you're gonna hear, I think.
Yeah, I looked at it and I figured once you accepted my invite and I saw Adam Mace, I was like, well, I don't think we're going to talk for 5 minutes about your handle. So
Yeah.
it's good, most of my handles prior to Eagles and Birdies were super simple, right? I'm not a very creative guy, so the fact that I came up with Eagles and Birdies is a shock, but Aim Ace is good. It works, man. Everybody knows who you are. So why
Yeah.
don't you tell us a little about Adam? Where are you from? What do you do? Whatever you want to share.
Yeah, so I actually live in Canada. So I live in Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is about the closest major city is going to be Minneapolis, about 6 hours north of Minneapolis.
Okay.
Um, so I grew up, lived here most of my life. I went to school closer to Toronto for a while and then came back here and got a job here, got married and bought a house and everything. So um, Thunder Bay is my home. It's where I kind of learned to golf, where I grew up doing everything, did skiing as a kid, did golfing, played softball as an adult, a bunch of other things. So yeah.
Nice. I'm on my way to Duluth this week, so
Okay, yeah.
so
So sort of up in this neck of the woods.
yeah, not too far away. I've got family in the Upper Peninsula, so if I spend some time in northern Minnesota or Upper Peninsula, I start talking like a Canadian too, eh? So my next podcast, everybody might think I'm from Canada. So
Minnesota and the Dakotas are basically honorary Canadians. They talk the same way. Some of them have more of a Canadian accent than any Canadians that you'll see.
yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
So I didn't know if I missed it. Are you a hockey guy then?
Weirdly enough, no. Um,
Okay.
I'm a football fan, so like you can see the jersey behind me. I have a Vikings Harrison Smith signed jersey there, so big Vikings fan.
Okay.
Been a fan since late '90s when I got my heart crushed for the first time by them, and apparently I'm a sucker for punishment like that.
So football guy, you said you play softball.
Yeah, yeah, as an adult, I used to play baseball as a kid, and there's no men's baseball leagues anymore. So,
Okay.
picked up softball as an adult after university and just play that recreationally. Something to
Okay.
do, get out, have a
Yeah.
couple beers after the game with the buddies and stay active a bit.
Nice. Nice. And you mentioned skiing, so you're still an active skier?
Not so much anymore. I used to do ski racing when I was younger, up until about high school.
Okay.
Got out of it as I went to university, as I mean, winters were kind of commandeered by studying and not studying, I guess. But
Yeah, right.
kind of didn't really ski as much, but still get out a couple times a year. Picked up snowboarding at the same time just to kind of get something new, something different. And luckily, where I live in Thunder Bay, there used to be a ton of ski hills here. There was probably, I think, four at one point that were open all at the same time, and we're down to two now, but they're still decent for the area. Even when I go into Minnesota, it's only a couple hours to go to Lutsen, which is a nice kind of resort setting, has several hills, big chairlifts, kind of a real neat area to check out. I'm actually working on a course in Lutsen right now that's in beta phase, so you can see the ski hill in the background from a couple of the holes.
Awesome. I'll have to go check that out. Um, so, let's dig into this a little bit. And you've got one published course. You just
Yep.
mentioned you've got one in beta. Um, so like all of a sudden you're like, hey, I want to build a course for GSPro, or like how did this all come about?
So, well, I mean, it all started from when I first bought my sim. Uh, I kind of look at it like getting into the golf sim for me. I tried to keep it pretty inexpensive, but it's like a drug. I don't need to do drugs because I just spend more and more money on my golf setup. I was originally
Exactly.
going to buy an R10, 500 bucks for an R10 and a hitting net, keep it real cheap. The R10 was constantly out of stock, so I said, whatever, I'll buy a Mevo Plus. It's only four times as much, but it gives you more. So I talked myself into how to justify it. And then I needed a better net, and then I've needed a PC, and I got real sick of running E6 off my iPad. So then I looked for a cheap gaming PC and got that, and then I got GSPro, and then I upgraded the PC a little bit, get a new video card, and like it's still what you'd call a pretty budget setup. But I mean, what started as planning on spending 600-700 bucks is I'm in for a few grand now, and it's just going to get more. I just bought a projector off someone on Discord, which I got to pick up in a couple weeks, and then got an impact screen coming. So it's slowly and slowly getting to a bigger setup. So kind of a cool part of GS Pro. It's not why I bought it, but the ability that really anyone could build a course kind of provides that opportunity to get a big breadth of courses that you're not going to get elsewhere. Like I play at a local simulator bar, and it's a closed system. They use the HD golf system, and they're limited to that, however many courses they have. But you can never get more unless they decide to actually go and build them.
Okay.
And that's a very different model from GS Pro, obviously, which I thought was really cool. It's nice that there is a pretty good process, so you're not just littered with junk courses like you'll see sometimes in other open types of software. But in doing so, I kind of got into it the first time. I really wanted to rebuild this small little 9-hole municipal course that closed about 10 years ago. But it was super flat. It was very easy course for beginners where I learned how to golf actually. Um, I want to say it's probably about 2,500 yards, something. So it probably plays about 5,000 if you were to do 18 holes on it. They never watered it, so the fairways were rock hard. If you could hit it straight, it would probably go, if you're normally drive at 250, it would go 280, 290.
Okay.
So it's kind of fun in the heat of summer to just see how far you could hit it, kind of learn how to, it's a good place to learn how to golf. It's like I said, it wasn't the highest quality, so people didn't take it too seriously. If you were, it was kind of slow, perfect for kids. So I
Yep.
wanted to rebuild that and kind of get back into playing there a little bit, and then kind of one thing led to another, and started. Actually, the first one that I tried to build was Giants Ridge in northern Minnesota. So I had actually asked Pac-Man. He did the LiDAR for me because my computer wasn't up to the task for it. And I'm actually in the process now of trying to get that into near beta phase as well. But generally, most of what I've been working on are all local courses that I've played, or courses either in my city or in kind of northern Minnesota area that I've done before. So I got uh, the one that's published, Fort William Country Club, is one that I played quite a bit when I was younger and even now. I quite like it. It's kind of set at the base of a whole mountain range. There's a lot of very interesting holes. It's more of a strategic course, so you can't just bomb it and hit a 9-iron into a green and get your birdie or par or whatever. You got to kind of play how the course was designed. Um, Another one that I've got in beta now is called Chapels Golf Club. It's more of a kind of just a regular old plain easy open course. But again, just one of my local ones that I've played a ton. I'm currently a member there. It's owned by the city. It's a pretty good deal for us here. I think it's 1,400 bucks, and you get access to two courses, which are always in good shape.
Nice.
So I wanted to have that on my sim just because I play it so often and can play it in the winter. And then kind of branching out into northern Minnesota, getting a few other courses that I've gone to and played before, which are real nice courses that I think would be good additions into GS Pro.
Yeah, so I see so many times guys are like, "Hey, can you somebody build this course?" And you took a complete different angle and you just said, "I'm going to build it." And I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
there's enough support in the community, and there's enough videos that Master Blassa has done that it gives you the ability to do that. So I think that's awesome to go build a course that's closed that you grew up playing on, and getting it in your sim, and then your local track that you belong to, get that in the sim. I want to unpack and go back to your sim setup. So when you're talking about how you started to build your sim setup and it's an addiction, that is so spot on. So I've got a bunch of buddies that are like, what should I get and how should I do it? And my biggest advice for them is like, what's your budget for like what would your budget be in 5 years and save for that, right? Because here's what's going to
Yep.
happen. I've had mine for 7 years, and every year, every month, I'm constantly tinkering and adding, and my wife's like, what are you buying for it now? Like, is it not set yet, right?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty about home sims, is you can either piecemeal it and constantly upgrade, or dive all the way in. And a couple of my buddies were going to piecemeal it, and I know their personalities, and I'm like, just do it. Like, what do you want? And just do it. So I was kind of chuckling when you were talking about your story, because that's exactly how mine ended up, right? I had an Opti shot and 7 years ago, and then went to a Mevo Plus, and then added Pro package, and then upgraded a projector, and then fixed my screen. And then I was like, I'm sick of playing on my iPad. I need a gaming computer. And in November, I got GSPro, and it's history. So I think we all have that exact same story. And it's super addictive. And before you know it, we'll have GC3s or GC quads or the Unicore I Mini or whatever it's called now, or we'll keep upgrading.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping I can get some life out of my Mevo Plus, but I'm finding some frustrations occasionally, with putting in particular. It seems to
Yeah.
be a little less reliable, and the common thing is, people switch into a Launch Pro. It seems to be the next kind of step up from there, just from a reliability perspective. But I mean, I got some things I'd like to do first before I invest in a new launch monitor. So I'd like to kind of tweak up the setup a bit and then see
Yeah.
how that goes first.
Yeah, I mean, for I've got a Mevo Plus, and so for the data points and the price point, when you add Pro package especially, like, other than putting, it's pretty damn good for the price point.
I think so, yeah.
It's a little finicky and buggy here and there. It took me a good 2 or 3 months to dial in the putting for GS Pro. I think I've got it figured out. Once in a while I have a ghost putt, but all in all, it's pretty solid for I think the price point. So, well, good. So you are building, what do you get? Two, maybe three more that will be coming to beta then, that I catch?
So I've got two in beta right now.
Okay,
Um
plus the one
uh,
that
and
Pac-Man helped you on.
yeah, so I'm working on that one right now. I've got a playable version of it. It's nowhere near beta ready, but I just um brought in all the LiDAR, meshed all the trains, or made all the meshes and everything, and put in a bunch of biomes just to get rough forest areas around it. It's based again at a mountain at another ski hill at Giants Ridge,
Yeah.
and it's in the middle of nowhere really, so it's forest everywhere. So a ton of trees in there. So just getting all the forest in between each of the holes, and then I'm gonna go back and add the right trees, add the right grasses, get the right satellite shaders and everything going. But I like to get just a very basic playable version of it and give it a quick run through, make sure that things kind of look and feel like I would expect it before I get too invested in changing everything. And then I go to play it and realize something's seriously wrong.
Yeah. So how long did that your first course take?
So the first one that I got to a pretty good condition was that 9-hole municipal course that I was talking about. But that's a little bit of a different situation, as I actually made that one without any LiDAR. So what
Okay.
I had to do was actually extract some height data out of Google Earth and use that as a very rough terrain, and then basically carve out everything else. So all the bunkers, all the greens, all the tee boxes I had to manually raise. Um, the Google Earth terrain is good for just kind of a rough general landscape, but it's nowhere near accurate enough to be able to tell there's any type of golf course on there. So that took a lot of time to actually get the terrain into a spot that I'd like. But even the rest of it, just being my first course, took a long time because you're following the video series, which are great, by the way. But you don't know anything. So you're kind of following along, looking to make sure, is this setting right? Is that setting right? And inevitably you miss something, which was very clearly written out for you in the video. And then you're trying to figure out what's going on. And that's where that Discord group comes in super handy, as I'm sure I've asked a billion questions, as has everyone else. And um, fortunately, everyone's very willing and very helpful, so which is very much appreciated. But I'm gonna guess probably to get that 9 hole to a pretty good condition took me about 60 hours, 70 hours. Compared to now, I just grabbed the LiDAR a couple days ago, got it in a playable condition by today, and that's working. I did about 6 hours last night, probably six the night before. So I'm gonna say about 15, 17 hours in, and it's a playable course. It's not good and it's nowhere near beta, but it's a stark contrast from where we started. And I think Pac-Man even said when I did that, your first course will take forever. You'll understand half of it. And then your next one, you'll understand 50% more. And then the next one, it'll just get quicker and quicker and faster, which is definitely true.
Yeah, that's the theme so far, from everybody that I've talked to, is don't give up after your first one or halfway through your first one, because they all don't take 60 or 70 hours once you
Yeah.
grind through the first one. So what's your background like? Are you just computer savvy, or do you know Photoshop, or
So a little bit of both. I'm computer savvy, so I originally started going to school for computer science. I did very well in high school and all the programming courses and that, and figured, okay, this is cool. Um, wasn't really for me in university, and I transferred to business. I'm currently in marketing.
okay.
But just being generally computer savvy combined with just generally like try more of a do-it-yourself kind of guy. Like even at home, we just bought a new home. We replaced all the carpets with hardwood, did all that myself. My previous house was built in 1912. And I did a ton of work on it, kind of learning how to do everything as you go. And again, because I'm not a carpenter, I'm not an electrician. So even doing it all with permits just to make sure that what I'm doing is legit. But
Yeah.
um, I find it kind of comes pretty easily to me, just learning all these new skills and being able to apply them in the real world. It's really just having the being willing to go in and do it. A lot of people are worried about making mistakes, and you really can't. And that applies to course building or trying to, install a sink or whatever it is. But you go in, you do it, make sure that someone's there to guide you if you need help. And kind of that's where, like I said, I did it with permits just because I wanted to make sure that,
Yeah.
you know, the city's good with what I did and they all passed. So I'm able to take those skills and apply it to the next house. And kind of the same thing applies with everything, whether it's course building, take those skills, apply it to the next course, make it better, make it easier. Um, so that kind of naturally drew me into trying to figure this all out on my own rather than, going on Facebook and trying to get someone to build a course for me. I'd
Yeah.
rather just see how it goes. And if it doesn't go, then whatever. But if it does go well, then I can make my own course, in a few days. And
Awesome.
I think that's super handy.
So you got a new house. Did you buy your house around where your sim would be? Like, meaning, like, my wife
It,
is always looking for houses, and I'm like, well, here's the specs that we need in a house, because here's what I need from a sim standpoint. So
yeah, that was definitely a consideration. So we have a garage that has about 10-foot ceilings, which
okay.
was perfect for me. I'm not overly tall, so I could probably get away with 9, but
Yeah.
10 works great. But I
Yeah.
wanted room that I could swing all my clubs without worrying that am I going to hit the ceiling? Am I going to develop bad habits because I'm trying to,
Yep.
shorten my driver swing or something like that.
Yep.
My old house was right in the middle of town, and my wife bought me a hitting net for outside, but I was absolutely terrified of using it because I could full well put a driver over a net from 6 feet in front of it, and it's going to wind up in someone's car or front yard or who
Yeah.
knows. So like I'd hit some irons in it, but never really more than that. Um, but we're a little bit more out in the country now, so I can set up a net outside and hit some balls if I want just into it. But my main sim setup is in the garage.
Okay. So what's you keep a handicap, or what would you estimate your handicap to be?
Yep, I do. So my handicap right now is 14. It was as low as 12 last year and as high as 17 last year.
Okay.
So it has fluctuated quite a bit. just like everyone, I get into these funks where I can't hit a ball or remember what side of the club to use, it seems. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I go into stretches where I can't miss the ball. Like everything seems to just work. So as is
That
golf.
that's golf, right?
Yep, exactly.
When I'm playing really hot for a couple of rounds, I'm going to my buddies. I'm disappointed because I know that there's going to be a horrible patch ahead of me, right? And when I'm
Yep.
playing really, really bad, they're like, "Why are you so hip on your game?" And I'm like, "Because I know I'm going to get a hot streak." That's just how golf is, and that's what I think probably draws us and keeps us coming back, right? So, how many rounds a year do you play?
Uh, it varies. 2 years ago, when there's nothing going on, most of the world was shut down with COVID. I got about 70 rounds in.
Yeah.
Last year was about 50, I want to say, which is still a
Okay.
fair amount, but I just had more things going on. I'm hoping to get around that 40, 50 again this year.
Yeah, that's solid. And then add the sim in the garage in winter and rainy days, and
Yeah.
you probably
Yeah, like courses haven't even opened here yet. It's still snow's gone finally, but everything's just soggy and wet and
yeah,
giant puddles everywhere. So it'll
yeah.
be a few days until the first course is open, and then
Okay.
most of like the country clubs and nicer courses, it'll be probably closer to the 20th.
Okay. So I always throw in like completely random, crazy questions. So I'm gonna throw you some curveballs here. Drink of choice, alcohol or non-alcohol, whatever you want. But and we endorse no company. So, what is your drink of choice?
Generally a beer guy. Um, there's a couple local breweries here that I am a fan of, and the city course that I belong to carries both of them, I think now, which is super handy. So
Okay.
that's generally going to be my go-to is beer.
What about like favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? Again, they're generally more of a local options here that I favor. So there's a couple nice steakhouses in town that have popped up recently. There's a Thai place called Thai Kitchen, which does fantastic lunch. So their spring
Okay.
rolls are the best in the city, and their noodle bowls are fantastic. So I like going there sometimes.
Okay.
Um, it's tough. I don't really have that one restaurant that I'm like, I like to go there all the time. It depends. Depends what
Okay.
I'm feeling that day. Depends. Sometimes I just want something, cheap and dirty, and it's Wendy's. And
Right.
sometimes something a little nicer, and
Yeah.
see what I got.
Nice. Lowest round.
Lowest round's a 78.
Awesome. And best course, or what is in your like memory bank for best course you've ever played?
So couple come to mind. The most interesting course I ever played, I don't know, I'd call it the best, but the most interesting was in Hawaii, actually. And I don't remember what it's called, but it was on the Big Island.
Okay.
And in that area of Hawaii, the whole area is littered with lava rock, and it's this black, kind of really coarse lava rock. So it's kind of like, how somewhere like Wolf Creek is cut in the desert, and then there's fairways just out of nowhere. It's similar sort of idea, not as crazy elevation like that, but
Yeah.
off the fairway on the left and the right, there's these big lava rocks and rock cuts, and then your golf course is right in the middle. So it was a real cool setup and a real cool layout. Um, Probably the best one is actually one that I currently have in beta, Superior National at Lutzen.
Okay.
It's just there's a lot of really scenic holes, a couple par threes with crazy elevation drops. So you're teeing off from like 70 feet above the pin. So it kind of brings your club selections are really important there.
Yeah.
There's a couple cool par fours, one kind of you wrap around a little bit of a mountain, and it looks super scary and narrow, like you're never gonna find a fairway there, but somehow I just seem to find it. I don't know if it's just luck or
Okay.
um, it's cut. There's a big rushing river down there with some cascades going through the middle. So it's again a real cool layout, and they keep it in great shape. For being only a couple hours south of where I live right now, it's like a whole other climate. They're going to be opening pretty soon, and I'm sure it'll be in excellent condition. It was last year when I went during May long weekend, and so hoping for the same. We're heading down actually in a couple weeks to do a boys trip, so we're going to pop into there as well.
Fun. And the last, and then we'll wrap up here is, what's your advice for, newer builders or somebody thinking that, hey, I might want to go and build my local track like you, any words of wisdom that you can give now that you've gone through it and published your first course officially?
I guess just you gotta just stick with it. It will be tedious at times. It will be frustrating at times. But once you get past it, use the resources that are available. So Discord, ask the questions, watch the videos. Most of the information's there, and the issues that you run into, people have also experienced them. So someone will generally be able to help out and point you in the right direction. Um, it's pretty easy to get discouraged if things really aren't coming along the way you think they are, but you just gotta stick with it.
Yeah, great advice. I think when you're staring at, 60, 70 hours on your first course, probably really easy to throw the mouse in the garbage and walk
Yeah,
away and say, I'm done with this. I'll just pay somebody to do it or play something else for the day, right? So,
yeah,
great advice. Hey, I really appreciate your time. I think, giving everybody a peek behind the designer's curtain, if you will, and getting to know you guys as individuals is really the goal and mission of Meet the Designer. And so, um, appreciate the time, the opportunity to get to know each other. Definitely going to go and poke around in some of your betas. And, I'll be honest, I haven't played your most recent, but I did the flyover. And so I've seen it. And, now I'm, interested to go and play in it. So maybe at lunch here, I'll go and jump in the sim and throw it on and scoot around it quick. But I think really good feedback, and I would say, leverage guys like Adam and everybody else that we have on the channel and Discord. I think the community is great, and we want to support everybody. So with that, um, Eagles and Birdies are going to be releasing Meet the Designers on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. So all of our episodes will be posted on the YouTube channel, and Sunday morning, 8 a.m. will be the day that the new videos drop. And so keep watching, like and subscribe to see more. We've got, again, a great lineup, and we'll keep bringing these your way. So with that, Adam, definitely appreciate the time, and
yeah.
have
Thanks
a
for
great
having me.
day. All right.
Thanks, you too.